click things.
Right.
But now we're live.
Yay! You know,
Yay.
I have an image in my head of like having the space for a library, like when the kids move out and we've got more rooms. And one of the shelves in the library will just be like, these books are good, but will traumatize you. Like, only read this if you're already in the headspace where you can handle heavy shit. The fifth sacred thing, Till We Have Faces. Deerskin will be on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about other ones now.
Right? What would be on the like you can and maybe even should read this at some point in your life, but it will hurt you.
I might put The Dispossessed on there.
I haven't read it, but I've had it described to me. Yeah. Oh, Left Hand of Darkness.
Left Hand of Darkness too, although not to the same extent.
No.
But then I really like Left Hand of Darkness also, so
I
there's
do
that.
too. Actually, the Way Home by Peter Beagle reminded me strikingly of Left Hand of Darkness. Like the themes, the characters, the um it had none of the sci-fi kind of it's not that, but the journey, the endless seeming journey of two characters that barely have to speak to understand each other and don't know why. That, yeah, yeah. Peter Beagle like did some channeling of Ursula Le Guin's muse to write this book.
Oh, um,
Yeah. I won't have any Marion Zimmer Bradley in the house, so
same.
yeah. Except
Yeah,
for
that's
the
not.
magazine, she edited a magazine called the Fantasy Magazine for a while. Some of those stories, which she merely edited, she didn't write any of, are amazing, and I love them. And I've got one copy of it. I used to have two. The other one vanished. I loaned it to someone.
Mm. Thinking if there are any other books I would put on the like amazing but will hurt you list. Not really. I mean, okay, so not at all on the same along the same lines. T. Kingfisher, who I really love,
Mm,
who is Ursula Vernon. She writes like a kids books is Ursula Vernon, and then like adult fantasy is T. Kingfisher. But
okay.
her books are great, but she also writes horror, and you can tell because sometimes things get a little bit far towards that genre in her non-horror books, and I'm just like, oh, this will be a light and fluffy like romantic fantasy. Oh my God. So
Tanith Lee. Tanith Lee is another one of those that's got the flip sides of the coins. Like, oh, is this going to be Princess Hinchati, where we're doing like a mockery of traditional fairy tales with a lighthearted spin, or will it be white as snow?
yeah, and it's not even the same, like it's not even that. It's just like we'll be like chatty and having fun in this fantasy world, and then it's like, oh, but also all of these like uh what are they? These like war machines that we're trying to figure out how to destroy them. Yeah, they're being run by a guy who has himself like hung up in chains over the machine that makes them because it needs to suck his life energy in order to work. And you're just like, what the fuck did that come from?
Why
So
are you
yeah,
making me see this in my head?
yeah, it's like a more of a body horror kind of a thing.
All right, yeah.
Um,
Tanith Lee doesn't do body horror. She does traumatize the women.
yeah, Ursula Vernon does not do any of that.
Okay, that's good. Um, yeah, yeah. I feel like we're going to be texting back and forth for a while. Like, no, this one too. This needs to go on the excellent book, but will hurt you list.
Yeah, yeah. And I honestly am done with books that are on the traumatize the women in the traumatize
Right.
the women genre. I don't like it as a plot device anymore. Do something
No.
more interesting.
Where do you think you would put October Country or like pretty much all Bradbury on the this might hurt you.
October Country for sure. Not all Bradbury, but definitely The Small Assassin is excellent and will hurt you.
Oh my god. Yeah. Um and
Same
the
with
skeleton.
oh my God, yeah. Oh, same with did you ever read the Trigger Warning collection of Neil Gaiman short stories?
I read about half of them. I own it. I haven't been in Neil Gaiman mode since I read the first half. I've got the other two collections of his short stories, and yeah,
Did you read in Trigger Warning, did you read Click Clack the Rattlebag?
no.
That is the one that will hurt you. Well, not
Okay.
hurt you, just absolutely terrify you beyond reason. That is the scariest story I've ever read, and that includes The Small Assassin.
Okay, then I
Yeah.
won't read it in the dark.
Do not
Um,
read it in the dark. Do not read it when you're alone.
okay, I won't. I don't like being frightened, and I don't understand how people think of that as a form of entertainment.
It's a form of catharsis in my experience. Mostly I don't like it, but sometimes if I'm feeling really anxious, I'll go for something frightening because it helps me like go through the fear cycle and clear the anxiety.
Okay, I'm not a very anxious person. I guess I lack the initial impetus for it to make any sense to me. Also, like when it comes to horror movies, and especially body horror movies, I can way too easily picture myself and my children in the situations, and I'm like, this
Hmm.
isn't entertaining. This is horrifying. Like,
Yeah, stuff like that I really don't I don't like. Like, yeah. I think honestly T. Kingfisher is the only writer for whom I will put up with that because it's also like extremely fantasy, like to the point where you really can't picture yourself in that situation because it's like, and then there was a magical thing that, crawled around like a spider and you're like, okay, okay, like that's gross, but it's fine.
yeah, I can live with that. Um, oh, I it's a change of subject slightly, but that's okay. I was on page like 137 before I realized that Deerskin takes place on the same planet as Hero and the Crown and the Blue Sword
Oh
because
yeah, she mentions that at some point.
she mentions a creature, and I'm like, that's familiar. And then later she's like, and a creature frightened by a Yerrig, and I'm like, I know that word. I know
I
that
think
one.
I think a lot of her fantasy does because Spindle's End also takes place on that planet.
Oh yeah, I forgot it. I don't think I ever registered that Spindle's End did, but I loved that one.
Spindle's End is delightful.
That one I can read again. That one I might read again soon. I'm in a Robin McKinley kick.
Also, if you haven't read Sunshine, I can highly recommend that one. That's her vampire novel.
Oh, fabulous.
I
I
really
think
like
I
it.
might I'll I've just read for the first time Outlaws of Sherwood,
Oh
which
yeah,
was
I haven't read
okay.
that one.
That one I don't know how I feel about that one. She brings some good old fashioned McKinley realness to the myth of Robin Hood. So like she'll mention that they have latrine duty and things like that. She pays attention to the actual realities of living permanently in a forest, and and her Robin can't shoot worth a shit. The myth is entirely built on people's expectations and the fact that Marion is a heck of an archer and is about his size and build and likes to go around and drag a lot. She's the one who shot at the famous shooting match. Like, yeah, it's like,
I support that.
right. Uh, but it has one of those endings that's not necessarily happy. Like King Richard's like, all right, you're all coming with me to the Crusades, and they're like, yay, we get to be together, and I'm like,
In the Crusades,
in the
though.
Crusades. Like
That's not
Tuck is
the
coming along as a medic. Like everyone who survived the battle with Guy of Gisborne and his troop of evildoers is going to the Crusades now. And I'm like, that doesn't, I don't, can you write a sequel where they all make it back, please?
Can you write a sequel where they change their mind and don't go to the Crusades?
Make it halfway and fall in love with Paris and just stay there.
Right?
Oh, and that would explain why there's so many French elements to the Robin Hood story, is because they stayed in France and told their tales. Anyway, um, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for, what did you say it was called? Sunshine? Sunlight.
Mm-hmm. Sunshine.
Sunshine. I will do that. It is my turn to read, as I recall.
It is.
And I do believe that we were stuck in a dungeon with the boys getting eaten one by one.
Indeed. Yes. On account of they made conflicting oaths, so there were only like 10 of them, and then they ended up in a dungeon, and every once in a while a werewolf came and ate them, which, like, also, werewolves really not a thing in later Tolkien books. Like,
Well, they're not werewolves in that they change from wolf to man. He's using an old English term just meaning a big fucking ravening like dire wolves.
okay, so more
They're
of a Varwolf situation.
more of a varwolf, more of a oh, what do they call those? Megafauna kind of wolf. Because he refers to the wargs as werewolves interchangeably. Those,
Okay,
in the same way orc and goblin mean the same thing.
all right.
So yeah, they're just getting eaten by really big wolves. Slavering. Oh, hideous. Do 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 do. But none betrayed their lord. Love them. I love them. This would be a rough part of the movie to watch. You know? But they try to come up with all sorts of ways to escape or not get eaten. They're not just sitting there shivering, they're doing clever stuff, and none of it works. In the time when Sauron cast Beren into the pit, a weight of horror came upon Luthien's heart. And going to Melian for counsel, she learned that Beren lay in the dungeons of Tol in Garhoth without hope of rescue.
How did Melian write goddess? Moving on.
Then Luthien, perceiving that no help would come from any other on earth, resolved to fly from Doriath and come herself to him. But she sought the aid of Daeron, and he betrayed her purpose to the king. Bad Daeron.
God damn it, Daeron.
Right? Ah,
Why you
tattletale.
gotta be such a Darren?
Right? Then Thingol was filled with fear and wonder, and because he would not deprive Luthien of the lights of heaven, lest she fail and fade, and yet would restrain her, he caused a house to be built from which she could not escape. Not far from the gates of Menegroth stood the greatest of all the trees in the forest of Neldoreth, and that was a beech forest, and the northern half of the kingdom. This mighty beech was named Hirelorn, and it had 3 trunks, equal in girth, smooth in rind, and exceedingly tall. No branches grew from them for a great height above the ground. Far aloft, between the shafts of Hirelorn, a wooden house was built.
Here, Lorne. Here, castle.
I kind of want to go around my neighborhood and name the best trees.
Yeah, I think you should.
Right? Yeah. And this is the tree. I don't have any good Tolkien-like words. I need to figure that part out.
Yeah, you'll need to like get a dictionary and do some translating into Quenya.
Right? I could take Sindarin. In fact, I have a Sindarin grammar, so that would probably work too.
There you go.
I do not aspire to be a high elf. Just a lowly sylvan elf. And there Luthien was made to dwell. The ladders were taken away and guarded, save only when the servants of Thingol brought her such things as she needed. It is told in the Lay of Leithian how she escaped from the house in Hirelorn, for she put forth her arts of enchantment and caused her hair to grow to great length, and of it she wove a dark robe that wrapped her beauty like a shadow, and it was laden with a spell of sleep. Of the strands that remained she twined a rope, and she let it down from her window. Take notes, Rapunzel.
Oh, wait, we read this bit last week because we said the same thing. Like, Rapunzel could never.
Right? This is sounding familiar. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's all good. I think
Uh,
we're about to wear because I think she snuck off and then
yeah. Sorry for if there's any future audience that watches this. Do-do-do-do-do. Twined a rope, let it down from a window, and as the end swayed above the guards that sat beneath the tree, they fell into a deep slumber. Then Luthien climbed from her prison, and shrouded in her shadowy cloak, she escaped from all eyes and vanished out of Doriath. It chanced that Caligorm and Cerufin were on a hunt. Curufin, excuse me.
how could you?
How Curufin, never mind. Went on a hunt through the guarded plain. This they did because Sauron, being filled with suspicion, sent forth many wolves into the Elflands. Therefore they took their hounds and rode forth, and they thought that ere they returned they might also hear tidings concerning King Felagund. Now the chief of the wolfhounds that followed Caligorm was named Huan. We love Huan!
Juan!
He was not born in Middle-earth, but came from the Blessed Realm, for Orome had given him to Caligorm long ago in Valinor, and there he had followed the horn of his master before evil came. Huan followed Caligorm into exile, and was faithful, and thus he too came under the doom of woe set upon the Noldor, and it was decreed that he should meet death, but not until he encountered the mightiest wolf that would ever walk the world. Huan it was that found Luthien, flying like a shadow, surprised by the daylight under the trees, when Caligorm and Curufin rested a while near the western eaves of Doriath. For nothing could escape the sight and scent of Huan, nor could any enchantment stay him, and he slept not, neither by night nor day. Magic dog.
I personally would not really want a magic dog that doesn't sleep, just because, like, imagine how many walks you have to take him on.
Right. But fortunately, maybe he walks himself.
Well, probably, actually.
He brought her to Caligorm, and Luthien, learning that he was a prince of the Noldor and a foe of Morgoth, was glad. Oh, you sweet summer child.
She gonna learn.
She gonna learn, and she declared herself, casting aside her cloak. So great was her sudden beauty revealed beneath the sun that Caligorm became enamored of her. But he spoke
Whoops.
her fair, and promised that she should find help in her need if she returned with him now to Nargothrond. By no sign did he reveal that he knew already of Beren and the quest of which she told, nor that it was a matter which touched him near.
God, what? Why are the Feanorians all such dicks?
They're such dicks.
Like, this isn't
Oy.
even related to the Silmarils. He's just being a dick because he's got a crush on somebody else's girl.
Right? Like, oh gosh, your boyfriend is on a dangerous quest. Let me take you home and give you soup.
I can totally help you out with that.
No, we never saw him.
Nice guy syndrome.
Yeah. Thus they broke off the hunt and returned to Nargothrond, and Luthien was betrayed. For they held her fast and took away her cloak, and she was not permitted to pass the gates or to speak with any save the brothers Caligorm and Curufin. For now, believing that Beren and Felagund were prisoners beyond hope of aid, they purposed to let the king perish, and to keep Luthien, and force Thingol to give her hand to Caligorm. Thus they would advance their power and become the mightiest of the princes of the Noldor, and they did not purpose to seek the Silmarils by craft or war, or to suffer any others to do so, until they had all the might of the elf kingdoms under their hands. Orodreth had no power to withstand them, for they swayed the hearts of the people of Nargothrond, and Caligorm sent messengers to Thingol, urging his suit. We hate them. We hate them so much.
Dicks.
Yeah. But Huan the Hound was true of heart, and the love of Luthien had fallen upon him in the first hour of their meeting, and he grieved at her captivity. Therefore he Who would you rather meet in the woods? They note that Huan's love for her has nothing to do with a desire to possess her. It's really refreshing.
Dogs are a girl's best friend.
They are. Elf lords, not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Read read the Lord of the Rings, you would think elves were like super great all the time. Nope. Many of
Well,
them are just assholes.
that's what's so nice about reading the Silmarillion. You realize that Tolkien was very optimistic in that he thought that if given enough time, the assholes would weed themselves out, and we would end up with just the wise and the good surviving through the ages.
Suppose
Because
so.
at the beginning, like there's a bunch of flawed ones, and by the time we get to the third age, there's none. They all died through their own acts of evil and selfishness.
Well, but I think the worst ones also took out some of the best ones, and we kind of were left with the medium.
You may be right, actually, because
Like, no offense to Galadriel. Love you, girl. Yeah. Well,
Celeborn,
but yeah, exactly.
Galadriel's still way up there, but she's an outlier.
She's like the last one that's like way up here, and maybe Glorfindel, maybe. But like, yeah, the rest.
Elrond might well be up there, but you know
El-
he's
but Elrond was like not around at this point. Like, he's not born yet.
yeah. Yeah, but Feanor and his boys, they all managed to weed themselves out through being assholes.
Good riddance.
Right? But you're right. You're right. The good ones die too. A bunch of them are dying right now, being eaten one by wolves, and damn it.
Yep.
Do 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 do. He grieved at her captivity, therefore he came often to her chamber, and at night he lay before her door, for he felt that evil had come to Nargothrond. Luthien spoke often to Huan in her loneliness, telling of Beren, who was the friend of all birds and beasts that did not serve Morgoth. And Huan understood all that was said, for he comprehended the speech of all things with voice, but it was bleh, but it was permitted to him thrice only ere his death to speak with words. I'm glad someone told him that so that he didn't waste them.
Good soup. Shit. That's two.
Now Huan devised a plan for the aid of Luthien, and coming at a time of night, he brought her cloak, and for the first time he spoke, giving her counsel. Then he led her by secret ways out of Nargothrond, and they fled north together. And he humbled his pride, and suffered her to ride upon him in the fashion of a steed, even as the orcs did at times upon great wolves. Thus they made great speed, for Huan was swift and tireless. I also love the humbled his pride. So just in case you wondered if the boys get to ride on Huan, no,
No.
no.
No, that is a Luthien only privilege.
Just my girl. In the pits of Sauron, Beren and Felagund lay, and all their companions were now dead. But Sauron purposed to keep Felagund to the last, for he perceived that he was a Noldo of great might and wisdom. Oh my god, Noldo is the singular? I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, no.
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 Oh
That
well.
just that sounds like someone made it up on Tumblr. It's
Where's
Noldo from my
Noldo?
shows. That guy's a Noldo.
You big old Noldo. Shut up, Noldo.
Oh boy.
Anyway, he perceived that he was one of those of great might and wisdom, and he deemed that in him lay the secret of their errand. But when the wolf came for Beren, Felagund put forth all his power and burst his bonds, and he wrestled with the werewolf and slew it with his hands and teeth. Teeth! Team
Bit,
Felagund!
bit the throat right out of a werewolf. Love that guy.
I love him so much.
A true
Yeah,
heir of Finarfin.
yeah. Yet he himself was wounded to the death. Then he
Aw.
spoke to Beren, saying, I go now to my long rest in the timeless halls beyond the seas and the mountains of Aman. It will be long ere I am seen among the Noldor again, and it may be that we shall not meet a second time in death or life, for the fates of our kindred are apart. Farewell. He died then in the dark in Tol in Garhoth, whose great tower he himself had built. Thus King Finrod Felagund, fairest and most beloved of the house of Finwë, redeemed his oath, but Beren mourned beside him in despair. But he killed a wolf with his teeth. I love you. In that hour, Luthien came, and standing upon the bridge that led to Sauron's Isle, she sang a song that no walls of stone could hinder. Beren heard, and he thought that he dreamed, for the stars shone above him, and in the trees nightingales were singing. In answer, he sang a song of challenge that he had made in praise of the seven stars, the sickle of the Valar that Varda hung above the north as a sign for the fall of Morgoth. Then all strength left him, and he fell down into darkness. Is the sickle the Big Dipper?
Maybe.
Cool. But Luthien heard his answering voice, and she sang then a song of greater power. The wolves howled, and the isle trembled. Sauron stood in his high tower, wrapped in his black thought, but he smiled, hearing her voice, for he knew that it was the daughter of Melian. The fame of the beauty of Luthien and the wonder of her song had long gone forth from Doriath, and he thought to make her captive, like they do, and hand her over to the power of Morgoth, for his reward would be great.
Okay, well, at least he wasn't planning to marry her.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
I think Sauron's ace.
I mean, it does seem that way, yes.
Not interested in a partner or romance of any kind. Yeah, no. Therefore he sent a wolf to the bridge, but Huan slew it silently. Still Sauron sent others, one by one, and one by one Huan took them by the throat and slew them. Then Sauron sent Draugluin, a dread beast, old and evil, lord and sire of the werewolves of Angband. His might was great, and the battle of Huan and Draugluin was long and fierce. Yet at length Draugluin escaped, and fleeing back into the tower, he died before Sauron's feet. And as he died, he told his master, Huan is there. Now Sauron knew well, as did all in that land, the fate that was decreed for the Hound of Valinor. Who told him?
Who's going around telling him shit, honestly?
Right?
He knew who Luthien was, he knew who Huan was, he knew how Huan would die.
And it came into his thought that he himself would accomplish it. Therefore he took upon himself the form of a werewolf, and made himself the mightiest that had yet walked the world. And he came forth to win the passage of the bridge. So great was the horror of his approach that Huan leaped aside. Then Sauron sprang upon Luthien, and she swooned before the menace of the fell spirit in his eyes and the foul vapor of his breath. But even as he came, falling, she cast a fold of her dark cloak before his eyes, and he stumbled, for a fleeting drowsiness came upon him. Then Huan sprang. There befell the battle of Huan and Wolf Sauron, and the howls and baying echoed in the hills, and the watchers on the walls of Ered Wethrin across the valley heard it afar and were dismayed. But no wizardry, nor spell, neither fang, nor venom, nor devil's art, nor beast strength could overthrow Juan of Valinor, and he took his foe by the throat and pinned him down. Then Sauron shifted shape from wolf to serpent, and from monster to his own accustomed form, but he could not elude the grip of Huan without forsaking his body utterly. Ere his foul spirit left its dark house, Luthien came to him and said that he should be stripped of his raiment of flesh, and his ghost be sent quaking back to Morgoth. And she said, There everlastingly thy naked self shall endure the torment of his scorn, pierced by his eyes, unless thou yield to me the mastery of thy tower. Then Sauron yielded himself, and Luthien took the mastery of the isle and all that was there, and Huan released him. Immediately he took the form of a vampire, great as a dark cloud across the moon, and he fled, dripping blood from his throat upon the trees, and came to Taur Nu Fuin and dwelt there, filling it with horror.
And everyone who lived there was like, thanks, Luthien.
Right?
But at the same time, like, you think about how much freaking trouble everyone in Lord of the Rings had with Sauron, and Luthien by herself with her dog is like, and you can yield or I can kill you.
Yeah. And you can go back defeated to your master who will mock you for all eternity.
And you're never going to be able to get back into a body because you've lost that skill.
Yep. Girl and her dog. And the fact that he's like, bearing down on her, and she's like, oh, I faint. Whoosh.
Uh-oh. I'll be honest, I kind of do the same thing with the cat when she gets in a mood.
Yep.
Just toss a blanket over her until she calms down, you know?
Your little cute Sauron needs to be calmed by the cloak of Luthien, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Then Luthien stood upon the bridge and declared her power, and the spell was loosed that bound stone to stone, and the gates were thrown down, and the walls opened, and the pits laid bare. Many thralls and captives came forth in wonder and dismay, shielding their eyes against the pale moonlight, for they had lain long in the darkness of Sauron. But Beren came not. Therefore Huan and Luthien sought him in the isle, and Luthien found him, mourning by Felagund. So deep was his anguish that he lay still and did not hear her feet. Then, thinking him already dead, she put her arms about him and fell into a dark forgetfulness. But Beren, coming back to the light out of the pits of despair, lifted her up, and they looked again upon one another, and the day rising over the dark hills shone upon them. They buried the body of Felagund upon the hilltop of his own isle, and it was clean again. The green grave of Finrod, Finarfin's son, fairest of all the princes of the elves, remained inviolate until the land was changed and broken and foundered under destroying seas. But Finrod walks with Finarfin, his father, beneath the trees in Eldamar. Yep. So Finarfin's dead, is what I'm hearing.
That is also what I got out of that.
Yeah, I don't know where in this Finarfin was lost, but he's our boy. Now, Beren, what's that?
I just said sadness.
Sad. Now Beren and Luthien Tinuviel went free again, and together walked through the woods, renewing for a time their joy. And though winter came, it hurt them not, for flowers lingered where Luthien went, and the birds sang beneath the snow-clad hills. But Huan, being faithful, went back to Celegorm his master, yet their love was less than before.
Yeah, think. Like, okay, I'm back, but like also, how dare you be such a jerk and Meanwhile, Caligorm's like, well, welcome back, but also, how dare you steal my girl that I was trying to steal from somebody else?
Right? Like, I needed her for my big plot. I needed my plot, man. And
How dare
Horn's
you
like,
ruin my plot with your
you
with
needed
your
your honor, dude. No, I don't.
plottiness?
I don't need my honor. Fuck my honor. I want my shiny stones.
I mean, that is basically the whole story of the Feanorians. Fuck my honor. Anyway,
Ah, let's see. There was tumult in Nargothrond, for thither now returned many elves that had been prisoners in the Isle of Sauron, and a clamour arose that no words of Celegorm could still. They lamented bitterly the fall of Felagund, their king, saying that a maiden had dared that which the sons of Feanor had not dared to do.
no shit.
But many perceived that it was treachery rather than fear that had guided Celegorm and Curufin. Therefore the hearts of the people of Nargothrond were released from their dominion and turned again to the house of Finarfin, and they obeyed Orodreth. But he would not suffer them to slay the brothers, as some desired, for the spilling of kindred blood by kin would bind the curse of Mandos more closely upon them all. Yet neither bread nor rest would he grant to Celegorm and Curufin within his realm, and he swore that there should be little love between Nargothrond and the sons of Feanor thereafter. Let it be so, said Celegorm, and there was a light of menace in his eyes. But Curufin smiled. Then they took horse and rode away like fire to find if they might their kindred in the east. But none would go with them, not even those that were their own people. For all perceived that the curse lay heavily upon the brothers and that evil followed them. In that time Celebrimbor, the son of Curufin, repudiated the deeds of his father and remained in Nargothrond. Celebrimbor.
Celebrimbor isn't he one of the shipbuilders?
Uh,
He's definitely in Lord of the Rings somewhere.
right? Did he make the rings? Did Celebrimbor make the rings? But Celebrimbor
Oh,
was
he
aware
might
of
have
them.
made the rings, yeah.
Celebrimbor is the son of Curufin. Okay.
Oh, well, holy shit.
Feanor's grandson. That makes sense.
That does make sense. Man, they get themselves into a lot of trouble over there in
Yeah.
that lineage, don't they?
Yeah, it's rough. It's a curse. Like even you repudiate the fucking oath, which good for you, fuck it. Yeah. That can't be easy.
Right?
Nope, I'm not
I'm glad
interested
he
in
did
shiny
that.
rocks. I'm going to go make rings.
I'm gonna do something less dangerous.
Something less cursed, you know?
Something that definitely won't attract the attention of any of Morgoth's people. But also, Sauron knew that. There's no way he didn't.
Right? Right? Oh man, but yeah. Oh, I can't remember when Sauron teaches the ring making to Celebrimbor, but there you go. That's the first time we've met him since, as far as I know. He might have been introduced before, but there he is in Nargothrond, like a
Making the
cameo.
one and only good decision he ever made in his life.
Yet Huan followed still the horse of Celegorm, his master. Northward they rode, for they intended in their haste to pass through Dimbar and along the north marches of Doriath, seeking the swiftest road to Himring, where Maedhros their brother dwelt. And still they might hope with speed to traverse it, since it lay close to Doriath's borders, shunning Nan Dungortheb and the distant menace of the Mountains of Terror.
As one would, yes.
Yeah, it's a good route. Now it is told that Beren and Luthien came in their wandering into the forest of Brethil, and drew near at last to the borders of Doriath. Then Beren took thought of his vow, and against his heart he resolved, when Luthien was come again within the safety of her own land, to set forth once more. But she was not willing to be parted from him again, saying, You must choose, Beren, between these two. To relinquish the quest and your oath, and to seek a life of wandering upon the face of the earth? Or to hold to your word and challenge the power of darkness upon its throne? But on either road I shall go with you, and our dooms shall be alike. Good woman.
Not to mention, it's not like she's safe at home. They put her in a tower.
Fuck. Even as they spoke together of these things, walking without heed of aught else, Celegorm and Curufin rode up, hastening through the forest, and the brothers espied them and knew them from afar. Then Celegorm turned his horse and spurred it upon Beren, purposing to ride him down. But Curufin, swerving, stooped and lifted Luthien to his saddle, for he was a strong and cunning horseman. They're standing there like, all right, what's our future plan?
I think we should turn.
Then Beren sprang from before Celegorm, full upon the speeding horse of Curufin that had passed him, and the leap of Beren is renowned among men and elves. He took Curufin by the throat from behind and hurled him backward, and they fell to the ground together. The horse reared and fell, but Luthien was flung aside and lay upon the grass. Then Beren throttled Curufin, but death was near him, for Celegorm rode upon him with a spear. In that hour, Huan forsook the service of Celegorm, to put it mildly.
Oh shit!
I quit! And sprang upon him so that his horse swerved aside and would not approach Beren because of the terror of the great hound. Celegorm cursed both hound and horse, but Huan was unmoved. Then Luthien, rising, forbade the slaying of Curufin, but Beren despoiled him of his gear and weapons, and took his knife, Angrist. That knife was made by Telchar of Nogrod, and hung sheathless by his side. Iron it would cleave as if it were green wood. Ooh, I wonder if Angrist was Sting. Wouldn't that be so fucking cool?
I was just thinking, like, hang on a second. Angrist, like, if you got a named weapon, I feel like it's gonna come down through the ages.
It's got to. Let's see. Orcrist meant goblin cleaver. So Angrist, I don't know what Ang means.
It means something bad because also like the Fortress of Angband.
Angband, right? Dude, well, let's keep an eye on that blade, shall we?
Let's.
Then Beren, lifting Curufin, flung him from him and bade him walk now back to his noble kinsfolk, who might teach him to turn his valor to worthier use.
At this point, he's in his underwear, which I am picturing as just a union suit with the butt flap open.
Butt flap. Your horse, he said, I keep for the service of Luthien, and it may be accounted happy to be free of such a master. Then Curufin cursed Beren under cloud and sky. Go hence, he said, unto a swift and bitter death. Celegorm took him beside him on his horse, and the brothers made then as if to ride away, and Beren turned away and took no heed of their words. But Curufin, being filled with shame and malice, took the bow of Celegorm and shot back as they went, and the arrow was aimed at Luthien. Huan, leaping, caught it in his mouth, but Curufin shot again, and Beren sprang before Luthien, and the dart smote him in the breast. It is told that Huan pursued the sons of Feanor, and they fled in fear, and returning he brought to Luthien a herb out of the forest. With that leaf she staunched Beren's wound, and by her arts and by her love she healed him. Because there's nothing Luthien can't do. And thus at last they returned to Doriath. Can our boy quit flinging himself needlessly into peril? Like,
well, that and also like Luthien learned to duck challenge,
right? That would be
Many
great.
things she's extremely good at. Ducking, not one of them, apparently.
Yeah, that's not a thing. Um, dodging horsemen in general, not so much.
Although you gotta figure it's hard to dodge a horseman if you're wearing a giant dress like she probably was.
She totally was wearing a giant dress. But it does kind of like Baron doesn't have plot armor. What he has is good friends.
Which is sort of like plot armor. Maybe the real plot armor is the friends we made along the way.
There, Baron, being torn between his oath and his love, and knowing Luthien to be now safe, arose one morning before the sun and committed her to the care of Huan. Then in great anguish he departed while she yet slept upon the grass. Fling!
Baron, Baron, you goddamn idiot. Why
Yeah,
would you do that?
you're not getting it. You're not getting it, are you? He doesn't think he deserves her, I guess. I'm not sure. No, because he told her daddy that he definitely does.
Well, I think that he wants to keep her safe, but she is like 20 times as competent as him.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, it's like, don't,
Don't
buddy.
just don't.
She'll keep you safe.
She'll keep you.
She's fine.
She protect you. She fifth element. Supreme being.
Exactly. Yes. Multipass.
Multipass.
Juan is her multipass.
Lee Luthien.
Oh, that'd be a fun costume.
It's too bad
How
Luthien doesn't exist on film yet. You'd have to explain it to people.
Well, yeah, how would you make it recognizable, I guess?
Right? A really big dog with you? A Silmaril?
A Silmaril and like an elvish dress that was designed with the Lilu strap pattern.
That would be really cool.
That
That would
would
be
be really
really
cool.
cool. And then like those two-tone hair you see, black on top, but like with the orange, the Lilu orange
Yeah.
underneath. Hmm. One more paragraph, shall we? He
Yes.
rode northward again with all speed to the pass of Sirion, and coming to the skirts of Tar Nafuin, he looked sorry, Tar Nafuin. he looked out across the waste of Angfaulith and saw afar the peaks of Thangorodrim. There he dismissed the horse of Curufin, and bade it leave now dread and servitude, and run free upon the green grass in the lands of Sirion. Then, being now alone and upon the I wonder if that's a horse that ends up like in the horse of Eorl the Young.
Right in the lineage of whatchamacallit?
Shadowfax.
Shadowfax, yeah.
Yeah.
That is much more positive than what I was thinking, which was, and then it got eaten by a werewolf.
Then, being now alone and upon the threshold of the final peril, he made the song of parting in praise of Luthien and the lights of heaven, for he believed that he must now say farewell to both love and light. We'll just pick up there next time, shall we? Because I don't want to read his stupid song, or he's being fucking emo.
That's good. That's fine.
It's like, I have two options. Run away with my true love to live happily ever after without fulfilling my oath, or fling myself into danger with my true love just in case there's the slightest chance that we can do this heroic deed. C. I pick C. I'm going to leave my true love sleeping on the grass and run away and sing a song about her.
Disney Prince bullshit.
Yeah, right? I'm pretty sure he's singing when she finds him. She's going to be like, yeah, that...
Will I ever see Luthien again? Bitch, I'm right here. Sometimes I think I can still hear her voice. I'm going to find you.
Yeah, you know how my dog never sleeps? Yeah, he woke me up and was like, "Are you okay with your boyfriend running off into peril without you?" And I was like, "You know, I'm not." He's like, "Exactly, let's go."
And that was the second time that Huang spoke to be like, hey, your boyfriend's an idiot.
Ah,
Oh,
fantastic. Ah,
all right. Well, on that note,
yep.
I will talk to you next week and we'll see what Luthien does about this shenanigans.
She's the only one who does anything that makes any sense, so I have faith in her.
Facts.
Facts. Cuidado.
Ay, llamas.